Today's video is sponsored by Odor Cleanse. Thank you to our patrons on Patreon for funding these videos. See how you can help keep them coming in the description. There's a few problems that almost everyone has when they get a new puppy, so let's talk about those today. Hey, click thumbs up for Deuce, the chocolate lab puppy. You can't just bite me. Subscribe to my channel and pick up a copy of my book too, Dog Training Revolution. If you've got a new puppy, you're definitely gonna need it, trust me. Puppies can really try your patience sometimes, and even if you've watched all of my videos and you feel like you know exactly what to do, the amount of time that it takes to resolve some of these issues can really catch many of you off guard. Let's start with potty training, for example. Of course, a puppy should never be left unsupervised or in an uncontrolled environment for the first many months of training. Nonetheless, potty accidents can and will occur. Your goal is to minimize those accidents. See, preventing accidents from occurring should always be plan A. It's ideal to give your dog the opportunity to relieve themselves outside every hour or so when you're awake. So what do you do when your dog actually does have an accident in the house? Well, if you don't catch them in the act, then nothing. Just do a better job of supervising them. Okay, so if you do catch them in the act, do your best to interrupt them. The ideal time to interrupt your dog is right when they squat, before anything comes out, and get them outside. I know what you're gonna say, they do it so fast you don't even see it coming. Now look, my top recommendation for anyone with a puppy is to have them attached to you with a leash, and honestly, not enough people take my advice on this, but it's really critical during the first many months of training. With a puppy like this, you haven't had time to really build that mutual communication with each other yet. So in lieu of that, you have to be in total control of where they can and can't go. If you have your dog attached to you with a leash, you'll get to know their subtle cues and their body language, and that will make it a lot easier to be able to tell when they're about to go. He's peeing. Oh, that's so great. You did number 1 and number 2. That's incredible. Since dogs are attracted to previous spots where they've had accidents before, it's extremely important to do a thorough job of cleaning up any accidents with a safe but good pet urine cleaner. Odor Cleanse Pet Urine Eliminator is really great because it really gets rid of the smell. So if you've got a new puppy, you're definitely gonna want this. Odor Cleanse is great about breaking the odors down at the source rather than just covering it up, okay? Or diluting it like many other cleaners do out there. Most importantly though, it's safe to use around your pets and your family. When your pet has an accident, you just blot the accident, dilute it with warm water, then pour on the Odor Cleanse and work it in. Then add a little bit more water to saturate it, blot up the excess, and let it sit for around 15 minutes or so. Once it's dry, just vacuum it up and you're done. You can even use it on hard surfaces or even in the washing machine for your pet's bedding, for example, to get all those smells out. You can get your Odor Cleanse Pet Urine Eliminator. I'll have a link in the description, and when you enter code ZAC20, you'll get 20% off. Puppy biting can be really overwhelming to deal with, especially if you're not expecting it. I mean, really? That was right on cue, buddy. Here's the thing about puppy biting. It is not typically resolved in just a few days. It often takes several weeks of really being consistent. Puppies bite because this is how they engage the world. I mean, they don't have hands, right? And because they're teething. Puppies understandably like to chew and bite when they're teething. So let's sum up what to do about puppy biting. Now, number 1, since puppy biting is one of the most predictable behaviors out there, when you engage your dog, get in the habit of having them sit or lie down for a treat virtually every single time you interact with them before the biting occurs. This will show them how you expect them to behave when you interact with them. He's in that bitey mood right there. I've got a treat, and watch how quickly this will calm him down and get him to behave. Since your dog's likely to bite, and you know they are, especially if they're a vigorous puppy biter like Deuce is, be one step ahead of them, have them sit. I'm gonna have them hold that sit for a second, and I'm gonna give them a treat. And you'll also notice too that treats tend to really quell a dog's biting. In other words, dogs use their mouths for 2 reasons: to grab things and to eat. But when they're in eating mode, they don't tend to grab things as hard or vigorously. And see, what we've done there is we've taken his mind off of the biting behavior and more on, hey, pay attention to me right here so that I can show you something. You know, a rollover. Secondly, show them that biting on a toy is acceptable so that they have some type of outlet for their biting desires. Why is it you can have all the tug toys and chew toys in the world, but for some reason, puppies always prefer their leash? These are the real questions that we don't have answers to yet. So here's the thing. Now, when you first go to do this, see how he's biting on me right now? I mean, he's really on me. It can be difficult to get their attention on a toy when they're so fixated on you, your shirt, or whatever it is that they're biting. So you have to be extra persistent here. I'm trying to get his attention on this, and look, he's not into it. I think I've forgotten how to train dogs. I just want to body slam him. out of love. Just stay the course here, because if you just really take your time, understand that dogs are very curious and very interested in interacting with you, it's not immediately obvious that we want them to go and pay attention to the toy. But we want to make this toy really enticing, really exciting. Hey, what's that? Remember, motion is a great way to do that. There it is, right there. And that was the spark, so we're not gonna let that go. We're gonna keep it going, and it's normal to get a few sparks before you get a fire. Making it wiggle. I should patent that move right there. There's a lot to the wiggle. See that? Good, there you go. And those are the sparks we're trying to get right there. Just because they show a little interest and get bored doesn't mean that they're not interested in the toy. You have to stay with them. And this happens over a course of weeks with dogs. So this is all part of the process. But getting your dog hooked on a tug toy equals lots of great options later on when it comes to training your dog. That's a good tug for a 3-month-old. Good job. A lot of times people make the assumption that it's about getting them into the toy. It's about getting them into you. The toy is just a way for you to interact with your dog in a way that's fun for them. And if your dog is having fun, they're likely to pay attention for a lot longer period of time too. Okay, see right there, he got off the toy and he's like, I want to bite you. And that's most likely because I was getting boring with the toy. And so that was more exciting to him. Especially if you're new to working with a really amped up hyper puppy like this, it doesn't mean your training isn't working if several days go by and you're still not seeing dramatic improvement. I have to emphasize that's totally normal, even expected with a high energy puppy like this. The next major issue that many puppy parents will deal with is destructive chewing. Now, unwanted chewing is most often due to the fact that with a young puppy especially, that they're just teething and they need to be able to chew on things. If you have an older dog or if your puppy is past the chewing phase, this most likely means they're bored and don't have an appropriate outlet for all that energy. If your dog is chewing up your belongings, you are not controlling their environment sufficiently. You must cut off all access to things you don't want chewed up, particularly while your dog is teething. Make sure your dog has access to lots of chew toys of varying textures. That's really important. If your dog is chewing out of boredom, this most likely means that they're not getting enough exercise. So you'll need to get in the habit of exercising them often, particularly early in the day and just before leaving them for long periods of time. I'm gonna have you stop that. I'm sorry, but you can't chew on this. I mean, how is your dog supposed to differentiate between this and a proper chew toy? We have to show them. So ideally, in this case, we would substitute my shoe with something more acceptable to bite on. Come here. And this is having no effect right now. So using a treat to get their attention off of the thing will help. I'm gonna redirect him with a treat over here, and I'm gonna get his attention off of it. I'm gonna ask him to sit. Look at that. You can't just do this once. You'll have to do this hundreds of times over the course of your puppy's puppyhood. Don't forget to pick up your Odor Cleanse if you've got a new dog. Check the description for a special link and enter code ZAC20 when you check out. Thank you so much to our patrons on Patreon for supporting these videos too. And remember, no matter what problem you're dealing with your puppy, I've probably made a video about it. See my playlist on how to teach your puppy everything in order, as well as more detailed lessons of what we covered today. Thank all of you for subscribing to my channel too. Deuce, you did a great job today. See you guys next time.